You know that word, right? Lazy. We've all used it or maybe had it used on us. It's that go-to label for someone who just doesn't seem to get things done. But what if that entire idea is just wrong? Today, we're diving into Dr. Mel Levine's incredible work, The Myth of Laziness.
So let's just start with a really provocative question. What if laziness isn't actually real? What if the thing we see in others, or even feel in ourselves sometimes, isn't a character flaw at all? This one idea could change everything we think we know about productivity.
And this is the core idea from Dr. Mel Levine. He basically says that what we call laziness isn't the problem itself. Nope, it's just a symptom. It's the thing we can see on the surface that points to much deeper, hidden struggles that are getting in the way.
So, let's start by talking about just how common this label is. Because, let's be honest, it's everywhere. In schools, at our jobs, even in our own homes.
I mean, think about it for a second. That student who never seems to get their homework done, the coworker who's always just a little behind on deadlines, the kid whose room is a disaster zone, our knee-jerk reaction, our default explanation is almost always the same. They're just being lazy. But that's the exact assumption we're going to pull apart today.
All right, so now let's really get into it. Let's challenge this myth head-on and look at it from a totally new angle.
So here's the big reframe. According to this idea, laziness isn't a choice someone makes. It's not a part of their personality. It's actually a signal, a red flag that there are hidden roadblocks preventing them from getting their work done.
And that, right there, requires a huge shift in our perspective. Instead of blaming, Dr. Levine says we should become detectives. We need to look right past the behavior and start investigating the root cause. It's a total switch from accusation to genuine understanding.
So, if it's not laziness, then what is it? What are these root causes? Okay, let's pop the hood and take a look at what might really be going on.
And the best way to visualize this is with the iceberg metaphor. It's perfect. The procrastination, the missed deadlines, the unfinished chores, all that stuff we see, that's just the tiny tip of the iceberg sticking out of the water. The real problem is massive and it's hidden underneath.
So what's lurking down there in the deep, cold water? You'll find things like poor memory. You'll find language difficulties, attention deficits, and big ones like issues with executive functioning or emotional health struggles. These are the real culprits behind what we mistakenly call lazy behavior.
Now, a lot of these issues fall under what we call neurodevelopmental functions. Think of these as the brain's essential toolkit for getting stuff done. They're the building blocks for things like focus, planning, and actually following through. And that term, executive functioning, that's a big one. You can think of it like the brain's project manager, the part that helps you manage your time, organize your tasks, and make good decisions. If any one of those building blocks is shaky, the whole tower can start to wobble.
Let's break a few of these down. A memory deficit, for instance, has nothing to do with not caring. It's a genuine struggle to hold on to information. So if you can't remember a 5-step set of instructions or when that big project is due, it's going to look a whole lot like you're not even trying.
Or how about language difficulties? If someone has a hard time understanding complicated instructions or reading dense text, what are they going to do? They might just avoid the task completely. And that's not laziness, it's a coping mechanism for a very real challenge they're facing.
And then, of course, there's attention. For somebody with an attention deficit, trying to maintain focus can feel like an uphill battle every single day. This can lead to disorganization, half-finished projects, all the classic signs that we so easily and so wrongly label as laziness.
And this is where it all snaps into focus, right? We see a student who doesn't do his work, and our perception is he's just lazy. But the reality could be an undiagnosed language processing disorder. We see an employee missing deadlines, and we think she's not trying. But the reality? She could be struggling with executive functioning. That project manager in her brain is overwhelmed, making it almost impossible to prioritize tasks.
So with all this in mind, where do we go from here? Well, it's all about making a really important pivot from a culture of blame to a culture of support.
This is the paradigm shift we need. The old way, the easy way, is just to blame the person. But all that does is create shame and frustration, and it solves absolutely nothing. The new way, the effective way, is to investigate the cause so we can finally provide targeted, meaningful help.
And, the result of making that shift is, well, it's transformative. It replaces all that judgment with compassion. And by actually addressing the real problem, it helps unlock the incredible potential that was always there, just hidden behind a barrier.
So this all sounds great, but what does it actually look like in practice? Let's talk about some real, practical strategies for unlocking all that hidden potential.
So instead of just saying try harder, we can offer real support. For someone with memory issues, this could be as simple as providing checklists or setting up digital reminders. For language difficulties, maybe it's offering instructions in both written and audio formats. Targeted interventions might mean working with a specialist to build coping skills for attention. And maybe most importantly, creating a supportive environment where we recognize effort, not just the final outcome.
And that's really the key takeaway here. The goal isn't to somehow force productivity out of someone. It's about identifying and removing those invisible barriers that are standing in their way. Because when you do that, productivity often just follows naturally.
And that really brings us to the end. The next time you're tempted to label someone, or hey, even yourself as lazy, just pause for a second. Ask yourself, what might be going on under the surface? It's such a small shift in thinking, but it can make a world of difference. So let me leave you at this. Who in your life will you see differently now?